How can we watch Caitlin? Can we come to the event? Can you live stream it? All of these things. And it ended up being put on television.
Caitlin Clark's bright new deal with the one league that truly deserves her was just revealed by ESPN in a shocking way, as opposed to the WNBA, which seemed to erupt at the thought of granting her any genuine recognition or attention. Indeed, the LPGA is extending a warm welcome to Clark, allowing her to finally be recognized, honored, and valued in the golf industry.
What we saw from Caitlin Clark playing golf was the LPGA being really happy about it.
Given that the WNBA has done everything except completely erase her, fans are excited to see her shine. While disregarding the reality that Clark has been the recipient of constant bullying and harassment on the court, they have gone to great lengths to minimize her genius in favor of highlighting others like Aja Wilson and Angel Reese. Her hardships and accomplishments received no recognition at all from the WNBA. At this point, it appears as though they are merely making fun of the WNBA. I believe they are simply making fun of the WNBA at this point. The LPGA has signed Caitlin Clark to this industry-altering contract. Yes, you heard correctly. When a basketball sensation entered the golf world, it became a breathtaking sight. However, ESPN then steps in to do what they do best. With the elegance of a lead balloon, kill the thrill. Rather than taking advantage of the opportunity and making this story as big as it deserved, they provided coverage that was so boring it could send a sleep-deprived person to sleep. Come on, ESPN, please. You would assume Caitlin was knitting rather than burning down the history of sports. This is days later, as you can see. I have nothing but love for Caitlin Clark. Stating repeatedly that everyone loves Caitlin Clark and that it's always like that. Every single one of these posts is like, the gathering for Clark's debut in the golf world was much larger than anything the WNBA has managed to attract this year. What action did ESPN take? They handled it as if it were a footnote on the back page. Guys, this is Caitlin Clark. ESPN made it seem like reading a soup-can label by having a once-in-a-lifetime player mix two sports at once. It's astounding how you can turn a headline that should be shouted from the rooftops into a lecture that makes you want to fall asleep. The WNBA didn't post anything, nothing. Regarding Caitlin Clark playing golf in this Pro-Am event, there were no posts. The LPGA, meanwhile, was out there teaching people how to avoid such mistakes. Clark wasn't merely invited to a pointless golf event. Not at all. She was taken to a Pro-Am that wasn't even scheduled to air on television. But here's the thing, fans virtually begged for the LPGA on social media. Unlike certain basketball leagues, the LPGA was able to change course. They threw caution to the wind and broadcast the incident on television, turning it into a spectacle that drew viewers from all directions. And the outcome? 34 million impressions on social media, which is absurd. 34 million. With a figure like that, the WNBA appears to be playing with straws. The LPGA accomplished absolutely everything. True. They took advantage of the opportunity. They managed to broadcast it on television. People were permitted to be present. Signatures were being signed by Caitlin. The LPGA's genius didn't end there either. They paired Clark with the best golfer in the world, Nelly Korda. It was a brilliant piece of sports marketing. They formed an electrifying combo that enthralled even those who couldn't tell the difference between a baseball bat and a golf club. Additionally, this event was being promoted by the LPGA. Additionally, they made a wise move by matching her with their current world #1 golfer. Nelly Korda is her name. It was more than just a golf victory. It was a moment of culture, a spectacular splash that demonstrated the LPGA's versatility as a golf organization. It was a giant of entertainment, all because they were skilled at playing their hand, their best golfer. This is the ideal chance for marketing. Let's now turn our attention to the WNBA's response, or rather its lack thereof. They were as silent as a stadium full of disgruntled spectators. Since Caitlin Clark is so popular, how can you possibly ignore her? To TikTok from Twitter, not even a dull Instagram story, not a shout out, not a tweet, nothing. Complete radio silence. They seem to have gone out of their way to demonstrate that they are clueless about how to promote their own potential megastar. The WNBA didn't simply make a mistake. Into the stratosphere they sent it. For those like me who have never aspired to play professional basketball, you are fumbling it, because I didn't think it had a future. Girls may now envision a future in it. leagues would give their souls to sign Caitlin Clark because she is a game changer, a household name, and a social media star. The WNBA, however, pretended not to be aware of her. Fans are out there pleading for stuff that acknowledges Clark's greatness, so this is a slap in the face. However, the WNBA is indifferent. The WNBA sat in the corner, twitching their thumbs, while the LPGA was out here showing off their social media prowess and making Clark the face of golf for a day. The LPGA's Twitter account is replete with Caitlin Clark-related content. She has pictures and a video of the spectators applauding her, signing autographs, taking pictures, and their players interacting with Caitlin. It's clear that they are also showcasing their golfers. Furthermore, let's not act as though this is a singular instance. Right now, the WNBA's whole marketing approach is a tragic comedy. How many times must they miss the opportunity to showcase their talents before they recognize that they are intentionally alienating their fans? Clark is a marketing treasure trove who might boost their audience, give their shows new vitality, and bring in the money they sorely need. But how did the WNBA react? Crickets. Crickets that are embarrassing and deafening. The WNBA's golf debut by Caitlin Clark really infuriated me. This generational basketball star, Caitlin Clark, inked a contract with the LPGA that made headlines. It's more than simply golf. It's a significant event for women's sports and a comprehensive guide to developing athletes. Naturally, though, ESPN is the only one who would handle this like a half-hearted, forgettable news snippet. Given how little enthusiasm they brought to the table, you would think Clark was announcing her retirement in order to form a knitting club. What is the WNBA doing in the interim? They're occupied being the mute, uninformed thing we've grown accustomed to. How can a sports league overlook a celebrity like Caitlin Clark? She is a sensation rather than just a player, and her broad appeal might keep the league from going extinct. Did they, however, grab the opportunity? Not at all. Not even a glimmer of recognition, not a post, not a tweet. It's embarrassing. This league has excellent players. Paige will be joining you. Also, don't mess with those females. Give up fumbling now. You're fumbling it for every lady who aspires to play professional basketball at some point, not just the players who are currently in the league. Clark is being treated like a king or queen by the LPGA. And the WNBA is behaving as though she doesn't exist. It is completely disrespectful to the league and a slap in the face to the fans. Not to mention the future stars who will be witnessing all of this. Both Juju Watkins and Paige Buchers, who will shortly be joining the WNBA, are likely regretting their choices. Would you want to play in a league that struggles to market its best players? The WNBA runs the risk of losing these amazing athletes before they ever put on a jersey if they continue to make mistakes like this. Watkins and Buchers are not just names, they represent the future. However, given the WNBA's propensity to miss every marketing chance, these players may begin to go elsewhere. It's not just poor planning, it is essentially self-defeating. The WNBA had the ideal opportunity to take advantage of this. Have you ever witnessed an NBA or football star attending a game and posting anything in the comments or simply saying something affectionate? This was the ideal moment for the WNBA to publish about it as well. And they remained silent. This time, ESPN truly outperformed their typical mediocrity. ESPN portrayed Caitlin Clark's LPGA contract like a snooze fest, even though it was the kind of story that ought to have made the front page. They chose to focus on the most uninteresting elements rather than showcasing Clark's revolutionary crossover maneuver. They are unable to detect a seismic change when it is directly in front of them, as if they are allergic to enthusiasm. It's not simply golf that Clark is doing. She is creating history. However, ESPN, as usual, reported on it in a dull news release. And it only serves to highlight the fact that despite our vocal protests, it doesn't appear like you are giving Caitlin the credit she merits for attracting so many viewers and creating the Caitlin Clark effect money, viewership, and all of that. The bitter irony is that ESPN ought to be leading the charge to support women's sports. When Caitlin Clark is doing something so groundbreaking, they ought to be promoting her. Rather, they contribute to the issue, mirroring the WNBA's incapacity to showcase talents. Clark is emerging as a cross-sports superstar and a trailblazer for female athletes. The half-baked coverage and lack of enthusiasm are offensive. How can you not be excited about this? Why don't you see that this is the tale that has the power to change the way we think about female athletes? In this case, everyone who was yelling this during the WNBA season has been proven right. Could we also discuss the endorsements? Serena freaking Caitlin Clark's brilliance was commended by Williams, who acknowledged her fortitude and the tremendous amount of pressure she manages with such poise. You take advantage of a shout out from the legendary Serena Williams. However, the WNBA did nothing at all, as is customary. It sends a terrible message to young athletes. If you're Juju Watkins or Paige Buchers, you're undoubtedly wondering if the WNBA will support you in the future or if they'll keep snubbing their own potential. The bigger picture is very clear. Everyone should have been awakened by the LPGA's marketing victory. They raise their entire squad and make golf seem exciting and cool by leveraging Clark's star power. ESPN and the WNBA need to feel embarrassed by their poor handling of this. It's not all about today with Clark's deal. The goal is to lay the groundwork for women's sports in the future. However, this moment was ruined by ESPN's indifferent coverage and the WNBA's perplexing silence. It serves as a harsh reminder that whereas some institutions are moving forward, others are clinging to their ineptitude and are mired in the past.